Hi group number twos, welcome to this week's video. This week we are going to be exploring one of our past lives. This is a general reading, so it probably won't be super specific, but it's still really cool and really fun to think about, and we'll probably learn something. So here we go. I've already pulled your cards. As you can see, there's 11 cards in this spread and it's crazy. So let's get started. So this is the card that pulled you guys in. And this is the piece, the coral piece that also pulled you guys in. Sorry, it's so bright. It's very white. Anyway, these are the two things. Just from these cards, I feel like you were kind of an explorer, whether your soul actually came from Earth or came from a completely different place. You're kind of a bit of an explorer because there's stuff about space we still don't know, and there's stuff about the ocean we still don't know. So I'm feeling that you're an explorer. You were interested in the unknown. Unknown really appealed to you in this life. So we are going to look at all of your cards and see if that holds up. So here we go. So the first card, this is who are you? Who were you in this past life? And the card we have here is, the 9 of Arrows, dedication. It's interesting because the 9 of Arrows is the 9 of Swords. Normally this card has to do with like anxiety or worry about the future. And in this deck, it represents dedication. So I feel like, again, you were somebody who really liked exploring, really wanted to know what was out there, wanted to know what was next. You were really entrenched in whatever was your speciality during this life. You were really good at it, and you didn't whatever you did was your focus of this life. You were your job, if that makes sense. Which of course can bring anybody a bit of anxiety, but if you're good at your work, sometimes it just becomes a part of who you are, you know? So you're a very dedicated person. You're somebody who does something over and over repetitively until it's perfect. Really have an attention to detail in this life. So that's that card. This next card represents your identity. So originally in this spread, this card represented gender, but I really didn't want to make it binary in that way because gender is a spectrum. Look it up. It's been proven by science. Anyway, because it's such a spectrum, I decided to use the word identity instead because identity can really mean anything. Doesn't have to be specifically about gender. So here we go. What was your identity? We have the Blasted Oak. This is the Tower card in this deck. This is very interesting in the place of identity. So because we talked about already that your job is your identity, very much an explorer's identity is their job, I feel like it was either taken away from you, like your job was taken away from you at some point, which rocked your whole world, like who am I without this job? Or you had a hard time really understanding yourself. You had a hard time fitting into the norms of society, even. Like, maybe you were one of our misgendered friends, like you were born one way but felt a very different way. So you never really discovered your identity or never really gelled. Like what you felt within your heart was not what society labeled you as. So you were never on solid ground as far as your identity goes. So, the next card we have, this card represents your relationships. And we have, ooh, the pole star. Wow, we actually got the star card, which is this card, and the tower card in our last reading. So, I don't know, you could have lived many multiple lives, obviously. So, if you were drawn to group number 1, 2, maybe check it out. Anyway, your relationships, you were the star of all your relationships. You were the superstar, and if you weren't the superstar, you made yourself the superstar. This kind of like movie star energy of like, I'm famous, deal with it. Like, Captain Picard's a captain. Like, he doesn't separate himself from being a captain. Like, he is kind of the star of the ship, and like, he's not upset about it. Like, it's his way or the highway pretty much most of the time. And like, I feel like that was you as well in most of your relationships. Like, it was your way or the highway, and like, you were in charge, and you were the star, and people in your life just kind of had to deal. You felt yourself very important, and maybe you were very important, but you're very inspiring too. Like, the pole star talks about how stars guide us. So a captain guides the ship. A star guides the way of a traveler. Like, you were probably the first to do a lot of stuff. Whether that was in, specifically because this card is in the section of relationships, it might be talking about maybe you were the first in your family to have a certain type of relationship, or maybe you're the first to come out in a certain identity or something like that. Like, you could have been a trailblazer. You could be an inspiration to like a whole different generation of people that never saw this for themselves, and then you came out as something and it changed a lot of people's perspectives about that thing. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it's fine. So that's this card. Oh, actually, I skipped a card, but I think you know what? I'm gonna say I did it on purpose, because that's how this works. So for my own brain, I'm going to switch these. This still talks about relationships. I just accidentally skipped a card. So this card must have been meant for this part. So this card actually represents your childhood. So let's look at what it is. And we have the Knight of Stones. This is the Knight of Pentacles, the horse. The Knight of Pentacles is like the most boring of the knights. He's the most stable and sturdy and steadfast of all of the knights. I know it doesn't look like it because this horse is like bucking, but they're one of our most, solid and sturdy animals. We've been using horses to get from place to place forever. So I feel like your childhood was very like, it got you from this place to that place. It wasn't remarkable. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like super tumultuous, but it did the job. Your parents raised you and there wasn't anything super remarkable about it. It got you where you needed to go, really, is what this card says to me about your childhood. It does say to me also that you were a bit of a bucking bronco as a child. Like, you didn't live within the box. You didn't like to be caged, you were a wild stallion. That kind of energy. So, our next card, our fifth card, because I skipped around, this card has to do with your family. So, let's talk about your family. We have here the moon on the water. Ooh, this is the moon card of this deck. This deck talks a lot about hidden stuff. It also talks about fears and uncertainty. So I feel like your family, although they got you to from point A to point B, they weren't like, you weren't super close with any of them. They were kind of elusive. Maybe your family had to work a lot, so you really didn't see them very much. Maybe they traveled a lot and you were just kind of dragged along. This is giving me very like, parents worked late into the night, you saw them for like 30 minutes before going to bed type energy. So maybe you were a working class person, and that's why like your rise to stardom was such like a dedicated process for you, and why it became so ingrained in your personality, because your parents, your family didn't have a lot. They were constantly worried about having enough. So your dedication to make a better life for yourself became all there was. You know what I mean? So the next card we have is social status. Since we're talking about working class family, let's talk about social status. So the card we have here is, ooh, 0, the Wanderer. This is the Fool card in this deck. The Fool card is a wanderer. They are somebody who doesn't have a lot, that travels from place to place, like I did say a second ago. They don't have a lot. Like often they're depicted with just like a little sack on their back and that's it. The wanderer goes from place to place, so without much in their pocket. So I feel like I'm getting like I'm hearing army brat in my head. So I feel like maybe you were a military child who traveled from place to place with your family. And that's why there wasn't a super strong connection, because of all the travel, because of all the time spent you in the civilian camp and your parent in combat or in their job, doing their job. So you were just kind of a wild child that did run around and never quite landed anywhere. An explorer. So the next card we have, this card represents the obstacles faced in this lifetime. And we have, wow, the 5 of Arrows, frustration. Yeah, that makes sense. If you're a working class child who has dreams and aspirations of being an explorer or a famous person, like of course you're going to meet up with obstacles like this. Constantly being shot down, being shot at, being told you're not good enough for this life that you would like to live. Yeah, the obstacles you were facing were conflict, struggle, frustration, bounds of society that you were trying to leap over and constantly having to fight against to become whatever occupation you eventually achieved. You were a fighter in this lifetime. Fighter for self, a fighter for what you wanted to do, an explorer of new opportunities that might have pissed some people off. So that's the obstacles you faced in that lifetime. This next card is your occupation. What did you actually do? Oh my God, we got card 2, which is the High Priestess, or in this deck, it is called the Seer card. Yeah, you were an explorer. I don't know, like this really clearly points me towards explorer, because the seer talks about hidden things that are not understood. Whether that means you are an explorer of actual land, or you were a pioneer in some kind of field like science, or you just like wrote creatively in a way nobody had before, or you were just an explorer on the path of identity, like the first to come out as transsexual, or the first to voice that you were attracted to someone of the same gender, or I don't know. Like, you were some kind of explorer, whether that was socially. I think you obviously were socially, but also occupation-wise. Like, you were the first to do something. Yeah. Hidden things, hidden secrets. You discovered something. The discoverer is what this card should say for you guys. The seer of unknown. The seer of the unknown. To explore where no man has explored before. You know, all that Star Trek stuff. So yeah, that's your occupation. You're an explorer in whatever field it was. You were a pioneer. So the next card we have, this talks about your death. How did you die in this lifetime? And we have the Seven of Stones, healing. Interesting. So I think this could go in so many directions, you guys, because if you were an explorer of medicine, maybe you died because you were attempting to find healing for some kind of disease and ended up contracting it yourself, kind of a thing. Maybe you just, in your exploration of the world, died of some kind of practice that you didn't understand, like you agreed to be a part of some kind of ritual and then died as a result of that ritual. Or, man, this could just go in so many directions. Maybe you just died of the medicine of the time, because as we know, medical history is full of mistakes. Because we didn't know what we were doing. We still kind of don't know what we're doing, but yeah, maybe you just died of disease, or even just somebody trying to help and they didn't help. They did the opposite on accident. Like, a lot of people died in the Civil War because of doctors amputating things they didn't need to amputate. So, like, it could be a lot of different things of how you died, but clearly I believe you died before your time, whether it was because of disease or because of just misunderstanding, not understanding how the human body works, or how things are done, or how things should be healed. Yeah. So that's what I'm seeing there. You died of an unfortunate accident or a disease, likely from your exploration in whatever occupation it was. If you were a scientist, maybe you blew yourself up on accident. That kind of thing. So that's what I'm seeing there. And the last two cards, here we go, you guys. So this card talks about the lessons learned in this lifetime. And you have the Ace of Stones, the foundation of life. Awesome. This is the Ace of Pentacles. In this life, you learned what makes the world tick, is what I'm hearing. You learned by exploring outside of your norm, by exploring things nobody understood, you begin to see how the world worked, how this planet revolves, how people work, how things grow. You explored the foundations of life. You gained an understanding of how things work through this lifetime. Yes. Maybe you're finding in this lifetime that you just like understand. Like you don't like, I actually have a friend who's kind of like this. Like you don't have the book knowledge, but you just kind of understand how stuff works. Even if you don't have the like scientific acumen, you still just kind of get it. This lifetime gave you that capability to just kind of get it. So, last but not least, we have how may these lessons help you now? And we have the King of Vessels, which is the heron in this deck. This is the King of Cups. I think what this card is saying is that this lifetime gave you the building blocks to understand how things work, to enable you to process these things, like process existence emotionally. Like this previous life gave you the stone of life, that gave you the building blocks, the architecture of life, and it's going to enable you to build in this lifetime a cup to hold the water of life, to hold the emotion, to deeply experience all emotion, and find that you have mastery over it. These building blocks that this life gave you have enabled you to move more freely in this life, to be like water and move through difficult things steadily and easily. I hope that makes sense to you guys. So, the last thing I'm going to do for you guys is I have this very lovely oracle deck called Celestial Frequencies. I'm pretty obsessed with this creator's 2 decks that she has, and as always, I do put the decks down in the description so you can find it on your own if you would like to own the deck. But I love her work. It's really cool and very positive and very otherworldly. So we're gonna just get one more message from this oracle deck about this life that we are talking about today, and how we can bring this life to the now. Like, how does knowing about this life bring you forward into now? So could we get one card for my group number 2s about this life that we've been talking about? I'm not sure which card that was. Could you please give me one card for my group number 2s, please? Oh, that one. Great. Thank you so much. So, the card you guys got is card number 10, Decisiveness. Siren Solar Empowerment. Whew. These cards are super cool. Card number 10. Okay, I am going to read this out to you. I am going to read this card to you out of the book, but first I'm going to sum up the life that we have learned about today, because I did forget to do that before I pulled this card. So, basically, you were an explorer of some kind in some occupation, not sure which one, but you had a tough go of finding yourself because you put so much of yourself into your work. You also had a bit of a rigmarole childhood where you moved around a lot, you explored a lot, your feet weren't always on the ground, you didn't have a solid foundation, it just kind of existed. You were somebody who had the relationships that you had in your life, you were the star of. You were somebody that brought inspiration to a lot of people because you were a groundbreaker of some kind. You did explore how things were, and this life really taught you how the world works, whether it was scientifically or medically or whatever it was. This life really taught you how to understand the world. This life of the explorer, of the groundbreaker, really brought you a lot of moxie. You became a captain in this life. So, I'm going to read this card to you out of the book, and that'll be your reading, all right, you guys? So, the card you guys got was card number 10, Decisiveness. Card 10, Decisiveness. We are the Siren warriors of light. We serve many worlds in times of planetary transformation and ascension. By stimulating griddular ley lines, we help realign and anchor in new pillars of light that awaken and activate empowerment codes within all living beings. As planets prepare to transition into new levels of ascension, our Sirian codes assist with balancing the planetary meridians, and infuse them with potent solar energy frequencies. By nature, we are powerful healers and guardians of ancient spiritual technologies that upgrade, activate, and realign the crystalline grids, DNA, and the hieroglyphic templates. The oracle interpretation of this card is you are ready to work with the action energies of the Sirian frequency codes, which will help you become more assertive with resolving your current situation. If your health is challenged, get ready to receive a potent dose of healing energy. If you are feeling insecure or have suppressed your light, simply open the throat chakra and speak your truth. Emotions may feel more intense than usual, but this is to be expected since it initiates self-awareness. You are experiencing a profound inner transition, and it is time for action, time to terraform your life by removing the old paradigm and beginning the new. You may benefit greatly right now from activating and recharging your energy from Gaia and the solar rays of the sun. Here are some things to help with realignment: throat chakra clearing, sun gazing, holographic DNA upgrades, no idea what that is, planetary ley line clearing, and the colors blue, indigo, and orange. So, I hope that helps. Yeah, but remember, you're a pioneer, you're an explorer, you're a groundbreaker, so be decisive in this life, like you were in this last one. So that's all I'm seeing for you guys, group number 2s. I thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you found this super interesting or not. I might do another one at some point if you find it cool. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. There's been a lot of you who have come back to watch again, so thank you so much. I hope you guys have a blessed everything. I will see you on our next video. This was Pan. Bye, you guys.